Kai, last time you were present. Last time you were present, Kai, could you remind us what pricking out is?
Okay, pricking out is a method used when your seeds were sown close together, and this needs to be done when you see the true leaves growing.
Okay, that is good.
Yes.
So that's great. So pricking out simply means transferring crowded seedlings from one seed box or seed bed to the other. You replant them to another box. So basically that's what we covered. We talked about mulching. What could be the advantage of mulching our crops? Why should we mulch? After not mulching, putting a shade. Why should we put a shade on the nursery bed? Is there any importance? Hello? Is there any importance of putting a shade? Okay. So basically, a shade is important in a way that it reduces the amount of sunlight that our crops or seedlings are exposed to. So after looking at how to establish a seed bed, how much soil is needed, which ratio is required, which we said was 2 to 1, the amount of soil, humus, and then the fertilizer. Okay. So we looked at the different things such as watering. Who can give, by the way, who can give, at least each person should give 2 importance of water to the plants. Check if we still recall what we learned last time. What is the value of water to plants? Hello?
One of the importances of water to plants is because the water can stop plants from becoming dry, can moisturize them.
Okay. Any other trial?
The second is so that the plants can absorb the water and use it. Hold on, please.
All right. Thanks so much for the trials. Water helps to dissolve nutrients which are in the soil. When these nutrients are in solid form, they are not easily absorbed into the plant's body. So it is important that water dilutes the nutrients and they are absorbed. Water also helps to transport nutrients to other parts of the body. Dilute, transports, and also helps in the process of photosynthesis, the process by which plants make their own food. Water also helps the plants to cool. Okay, when the temperatures are very hot, there is a high rate of transpiration. So when you put water there, water helps to cool the plant. And water helps to regulate the amount of temperature, amount of heat in the soil. Water helps to regulate that also. So after planting, what do you think is the next step? After planting, now our seeds have been transplanted, we have controlled the pests. What do you think is the next step in this step or in the stage of vegetation growing, vegetable growing? Yes? When you grow your crops, now they are ready. What is the next step? You leave them and go
harvesting.
That's great. Yes, you are saying something.
You should harvest.
Okay, fine. So today we are going to look at something different. Still, we are going to look at how to control pests, and diseases. Isaac, you read for us at least the first paragraph.
Pests and diseases come from different sources at the different stages of your vegetables. Knowing where pests and diseases come from will help you prevent or reduce their harmful effects on vegetable seedlings. It is important to keep a watchful eye on seedlings to observe any sign of pests and diseases damaging seedlings. If you observe pests and diseases causing harm to the seedlings, you should take appropriate measures and action to control them. Pests and diseases control should therefore start from seedbed preparation and proceed to harvesting. You can control pests and diseases using the following methods: cultural, mechanical, biological, chemical, plant-derived pesticides, organic pesticides. Table.
Okay. It's okay, you can stop there. Thank you. So now, when your crops are still in the garden, the vegetables, you have to make sure that you control the pests and diseases. It is of great help for you to know the source of a disease, because this helps you to control and prevent the harmful effects to the seedlings. So if you observe pests and diseases causing harm, to the seedlings, you take appropriate action. Appropriate action, for example, use of a control measure or method. Cultural control measures we have irrigation or flooding. When you have a lot of pests in your garden, you put in a lot of water into your garden. That's what we call flooding. How does flooding help? It suffocates the pests and they die. And then another cultural way is by weeding. Weeding helps to remove the hiding places, which would create a microenvironment which leads to growth of these pests. Another cultural method of controlling these pests, actually cultural methods, what is involved in cultural method? You only use available resources. You use the grass which is available. Okay, don't use chemicals. Chemicals, that's not cultural. And then mechanical or physical, sometimes mechanical or physical, putting up a fence such that the pest does not climb over. Different pests, we have monkeys, we have rats, we have squirrels, we have crows. Okay, maybe you could name some of the pests that you know. Each person at least give us one, two.
Okay, crows and locusts.
Okay, next person. Next person to give us examples of pests. Okay, somebody is saying, Laura says, weevils, armyworm, okay, locusts, etc. So you prevent them by creating a barrier. You could even dig a hole, a trench. A trench will reduce their movement into the garden or the nursery bed. Or you could use biological pest control measure. What is the biological? Here in biological pest control measure, you use an animal to eat the other animal, the predator and the prey. For example, chicken and grasshopper. or termites. Chicken will go and eat all the termites from your garden. That is biological control. You use the living organisms to consume the other living organism. And then chemical, this is when you go to the market and then buy the chemicals, the pesticides, you mix them. Or you could even use the local pesticides, which are made from or extracted from plants available on your farm. They are called organic pesticides. And you spray them and you are able to control the pests. If not, you could use integrated pest management. Integrated pest management system is a system of controlling pests by using all different types of pest management practices. You can decide to use chemical, you may decide to use biological, mechanical, okay? You don't use only one. What is the advantage of using that? It could be like a wastage of time, no? The pest does not develop resistance because there are some pests who are very, very hard to control. You spray them today, tomorrow they keep smiling around your garden. Like now a monkey. You cannot, a monkey, even if you put a fence, a monkey will climb. So what do you do? Maybe you could electrify the fence, and at the end of the day, monkeys will not disturb your crops because they like enjoying things like carrots. So we have to make sure that in this integrated pest management practice, make sure that you use all different measures such that the plant pest does not develop resistance. So the last paragraph of it says, most important, we can make pesticides from these plants and they will be called plant-derived pesticides. Examples of plants used for we have the neem tree. The neem tree. Have you seen a neem tree anywhere?
I have a neem tree.
You have one?
Not one, but yes.
Okay, that's great. And then chili?
Yes.
Okay. Isaac, have you had chili? Have you seen chili anywhere? Maybe you could be here talking when for you don't know what chili is.
Yes, teacher. At school we used to have chili. We used to have a chili plant there.
Okay. So such plants are useful when you are making pesticides. Because once you spray on the eyes of the pest, they will not survive. But we are talking about a pesticide. A pesticide, what is a pesticide? Okay, maybe Kai could read for us the first paragraph from here up to here. Kyle, we are waiting. Kyle, we are waiting. Okay. Kyle, we are waiting.
Sorry, I was away. What? May you please repeat it?
Okay. Hello.
Yes, teacher, please repeat your instructions. I was away.
Okay, you could read for us from this up to here, this first part. As Laura, please, you also prepare to read the last part of it.
Okay.
Yes, please go ahead.
Pesticides are substances that are used to control insects and diseases causing organisms that damage vegetables. Many pesticides are poisonous to man. Therefore, all safety measurements must be followed strictly when using them. However, after using them, pesticides will start to degrade, but this will take time. The time taken for them break down varies between different pesticides. So farmers need to know how long it will take for the pesticides to break down to a level that will not be harmful to human beings. Pesticides are chemicals which are used to prevent damage by insects and other destructive organisms. Unfortunately, many farmers do not have enough money to buy them. On the other hand, some pesticides are not suitable for man. For smallholder use because of lack of safe and affordable chemicals. The farmer's harvest is often the farmer's harvest is often destroyed and lost. Over time, farmers have found a solution to this challenge. They have discovered that a number of native and exotic plants do not have substances in their leaves, roots, woods, or fruits and seeds that can be used to protect their crops from being eaten or destroyed.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that. The next person you could read for us, Laura.
Pesticides that naturally control caterpillars include neem oil and bacterial sprays. Neem tree seeds are naturally insecticidal, and proprietary neem-based pesticides are formulated using extracts from the seeds. Many neem products are concentrates, and you must dilute the product before using it. For example, one commonly used neem oil product must be diluted at a rate of 2 tablespoons per gallon of water. Bacterial sprays contain bacteria that attack the pest but aren't harmful to humans. Some of these plants are just grown side by side in the crops. They usually send off a bad smell to drive away the insects or disease-causing organisms, while others attract the insect or disease-causing organisms and they spare the crop.
Right, thanks so much. So here we are looking at a pesticide. We are just listening to things like a pesticide, a herbicide, a fungicide, okay? We are looking at the meaning of a pesticide. Pesticide is a substance that is used to control diseases and pests, disease-causing organisms that damage the vegetables. So many pesticides are poisonous to man. Make sure that when you're using them, you put on protective gear, put on gloves, put on gumboots, put on overall, cover your head. Because the moment you just tap on your skin can start scorching you. When you drink, maybe you could end up in the hospital. So you have to be careful. Therefore, all safety measures must be followed strictly when using them. Some, after using them, pesticides will start to degenerate or to degrade, but this will take time. The time taken for them to break down varies from different pesticides. When you use this pesticide and when you spray this pesticide to the vegetables, you spray on the vegetables, make sure you don't eat them immediately. Okay? For example, today is Thursday. When you spray on Thursday today, the 2nd of September, you will be able to harvest maybe next week on Friday. Why? To allow the pesticide to break down, to degenerate, to get utilized properly into the crop's body. So after that, pesticides are chemicals which are used to prevent damage, okay, by pests, by insects, and other destructive organisms. Unfortunately, not all of them are affordable to the farmers because these farmers don't have enough money. Okay. On the other hand, most of the farmers in the areas where you stay, they are having very small farms. They grow crops for household use, meaning there's no need for that. They can do the control of pests using other methods, maybe by weeding, maybe by mechanical hand picking, okay? Because their gardens are too small to use pesticides. Besides that, some of the farmers even lack the safe, and most of the farmers cannot use the chemicals safely. and affordability of these chemicals to the farmers, because most of them, they have used the chemicals, and the chemicals have destroyed all their crops, making them fall into a loss. That alone has made them to lose interest. They have lost interest. They be like, I cannot use pesticides. It's better for me to use another measure. Over time, some affordable chemicals. Over time, some farmers have found a solution to this challenge. They have found another solution for this pest. They have discovered a number of native and exotic plants that have substances in their leaves, roots, wood, or fruits and seeds that can be used to protect their crops from being eaten or destroyed. Okay, I think the way man is very wise. A man will say, okay,
Yes.
now why should I go and buy this type of pesticide to control pests? Why don't I just grow this type of crop, grow a tree? For example, onions. The moment you grow onions will not allow rats to come around. Onions have unpleasant smell, which can repel away some pests, and some could even die. Just like the way you hear when they say, most people have realized that the moment you plant a lemongrass tree around your compound, the number of mosquitoes is going to drop. It's going to reduce. So that alone has replaced the use of pesticides. You could go to Container Village and you buy a pesticide to control insects, but if you have this natural control measure, it's the best. Pesticides that naturally control caterpillars include neem oil, okay, from the neem tree, and bacterial sprays. Bacterial sprays are made from the real bacteria itself. Neem tree seeds are naturally insecticidal. They are used to control insects, and appropriate neem-based pesticides are formulated using extracts from the seeds. So when you have some neem trees at home, treasure them. You could be a next billionaire in a few days, because if you get this knowledge of extracting pesticides out of that, how many people have that knowledge? There are very few. So many neem products are concentrates, and you must dilute the product before using it. So you have to add in some water, because water is pure. Water has ability to dilute. Does not change the effectiveness, but it only reduces the effectiveness, and it increases also the quantity of the pesticide. So dilute the product before using it. For example, commonly used neem oil product must be diluted at a rate of 2 tablespoons per gallon of water. Bacterial sprays contain bacteria that attack the pest but aren't harmful to humans. Some of these plants are just grown beside or side by side in the crops. Okay, you put the crops in the middle, and then alongside, besides the crop, when you're finishing up the garden, the plot of your garden, you plant these neem trees. You plant other protective plants, such that when the pests come, they will first come and destroy all the neem, the wood that you have planted outside, and while protecting the real crop. But while other insects and disease-causing organisms are attractive, these plants have ability to attract. So then they want to come and eat. They will be confused eating now the outside the protective plants which you have put there. At the end of the day, our crops are spared. That method is called the growing of trap crops. You put a trap crop because now the plants are around the main crop. are the ones which are acting as a trap. When these pests come, they'll come and destroy the traps around. For you, come and remove the traps and burn. At the end of the day, you have burnt all the pests from the garden. Let's see what we have on the next page. So here we are looking into detail. We are looking into detail. This method, we are describing method, description, examples. Curriculum. We have finished talk about this. Usually these are ordinary agronomic practices to prevent pests and diseases. Examples, we have crop rotation, early planting. You plant your crops very early, such that they mature before the pests manifest in the garden. And then the crop rotation is the growing of different types of crops on the same piece of land, season after season or seasonally. You make sure that you don't. Okay, somebody is asking, how early? Let's look at a scenario whereby the rains, like different regions have experienced rain seasons in different ways. In the month of March, a month of March. No, okay. Sorry for that. Let me try to explain this. It's not, we're not saying that you plant very early in the morning. No. Early means at the onset of the rainy season. If rain starts to rain seriously in Feb, you plant early in Feb. Don't again wait at the end of Feb, because these crops will grow and catch up with the pests. But if you plant at the onset of rain, it simply means that the pest will be able to mature very fast. By the time the pest comes, the crop has already matured. The crop has ability to withstand the pest attack. So early planting simply means you plant early at the onset of the rain, not very early. Like, for example, maybe you wake up at 4 a.m. and you plant, no? So sometimes sometimes they use a certain common word, timely planting. Timely planting, meaning you plant at the onset of the rain. These are two same words, they only interchange them. So you have to plant disease-free planting organism, plant materials, the seeds, the stock. If you go and buy the seedlings from the shop, make sure you buy from a reliable source. Don't go and buy beans which are having already cracks, already are sick. Some of them have bean weevils, and for you come jubilating, yeah, I'm going to plant these seeds. My friend, you'll multiply the pests in your garden and they will eat everything. After that, practice quarantine. Okay, quarantine is another cultural measure. You have heard of quarantine nowadays. There are food areas that are quarantine. Yes. So even in the garden, we have, or in agriculture, we have quarantine. In a way that, for example, if it is Masaka having an outbreak of a certain disease, a disease which is attacking matoke, people of Masaka should not bring their matoke in Kampala, or they should not take it even to Mpiji. Okay, until when the disease disappears, until when the disease is managed properly. Quarantine could run for years. And it's very common in livestock areas. The moment a region has a certain disease in animals, they tell them, stop selling your products. Don't bring your meat to the market. Don't bring your meat and milk, because diseases will continue spraying. And then the last part of it is field hygiene. When you see a word field hygiene, for you be like, now I'm going to buy soap, changwe, I bathe. No, it's not about bathing. Field hygiene simply means when you have planted groundnuts in your garden, for example, make sure that you go and clean. When you harvest, remove each and everything. Don't leave the residue behind. That's what we call field hygiene. Is that clear? Have I tried to explain to you properly those examples of culture?
Yes.
Isaac, are you following? So
Yes,
the other control measure we have is mechanical. It sometimes may not be called mechanical, it is called physical pest control measure. Here, it involves using equipment, tools, and machines to control pests and diseases. Tool number one, you could use a net. You have seen these very nets which you sleep in are used to cover up some parts of the garden. You have seen a greenhouse.
Yes.
Have you seen a greenhouse? At least people who use Masaka Road and Entebbe Road, where they plant those flowers.
Yes.
Okay, so a greenhouse helps to control pests. And then even the hoe, you can use a hoe to cut the pest, and even to weed, and even to dig a hole, a trench, which prohibits the pests from coming into your field or garden. So that is simply mechanical or physical. Then we have biological control measure, which we say is the using of other living plants and animals to control the pests. We could use a ladybird, we could use targets minata, we could use wasps, we could use beetles. Do you see birds? The ladybird has ability to pick small living organisms such as the termite, the aphids. Okay, so that one is easier. Then you have chemical. This involves the use of man-made chemicals. Some of these chemicals may be manufactured or extracted from plants, and this is called inorganic pesticides. They are grouped into fungicides. This one is control fungi, and then pesticides. These ones are for pests, and then we have molicides. They are for controlling molluscs. Okay, and then we have bacteria. For bacteria also, they are used to control bacteria in the field. As simple as that. So when you look at the plant-derived pesticides or organic pesticides, using a collection of materials extracted from plants or animals to control pests, this simply means they have used the living fluids inside the plant's body to control the pests. Some of the examples which can be used to extract the components for making pesticides, you have red pepper, tobacco, wood ash, Tillothonia. We have botanical tea. Okay, all these ones are very good in controlling certain types of pests. So after controlling the pests, now maybe our crops have reached the period or the state of harvesting. Kaya, you could read for us. Let Isaac read for us. Isaac, read for us, harvesting.
The term harvesting is the process of gathering ripe crops. When vegetables are ripe, they are picked from the garden. Harvesting marks the end of growing seasons for a particular crop signs or conditions when they are mature to show that they are ready. Fresh vegetables are extremely perishable and have relatively short shelf lives. They are living, respiring tissues that start changing immediately at harvest. Freshly harvested vegetables, mostly comprised of water, with most having 90 to 95% moisture content. Water loss after harvest is one of the most serious post-harvest conditions. Consequently, special effort is required to reduce the effects of these naturally occurring processes. If quality harvested in the field will be the same as the consumer level, pre-harvest preparation should include lining up sufficient labor, supplies, containers, and packing items. Cleaning the grading packing shed and determining if all the equipment is operable. Once the produce reaches harvest maturity, delays for any reason can result in two major quality and crop losses. In addition, the nutritive content of produce is not static either. Techniques to extend post-harvest shelf life: reducing respiration by lowering temperature, slow respiration by maintaining optimal gaseous environment, slower water losses by maintaining optimal relative humidity. Variety selection.
All right, thanks so much, Isaac, for reading for us. So after doing irrigation, weeding, control of pests, planting, hardening off, pricking out, okay, and the rest of the activities, at the end of the day, you have to harvest what you have planted. So planting simply means is a process of gathering the right crops, the crops that have matured. Just like last time you had just told us that you had finished harvesting some of your crops. Some of you harvested mangoes, some people harvest bananas, Irish potatoes, and the rest of the things. When vegetables are ripe, they are picked from the garden. Harvesting marks the end of the growing season for a particular crop. Okay, as the moment you start harvesting, that is the end of the season. Not for all plants, okay? There are some plants, for example, oranges, they could give you 2 times in a season. Green pepper, you harvest green pepper in some period and again it regenerates other fruits. It could again, for example, again tomatoes, you pick, they're still growing for up to a certain period of time. Vegetables show different signs or conditions when they are mature to show that they are ready. Fresh vegetables are extremely perishable and have relatively short shelf lives. They live for short period of time. So if I may ask, how will you know that a tomato is ready for harvesting?
It turns red.
Red, it will turn red. So how will you know that an orange is ready for harvesting?
Well, it turns orange if you're talking about the actual oranges.
Orange, for it be specific. It can it be green because there are some diseases which can lead to yellowing of the fruit. So for the case of different ways of knowing how to check for the maturity, some of them you check on the size, the smell or the scent changes. You smell on it, and like jackfruit. You go and slap it. After slapping, you smell it, and you be like, yeah, this one is ready. So even avocado, some of you get avocado and you shake it, you'll hear there is a sound of the seed moving. It has detached itself from the other part of the avocado. And then things like groundnuts, you could open them to check if they have matured. Some can drop away from the tree and then you find it on the ground. Some can explode. It opens like beans. It explodes. Some dry up like maize. It can easily dry up while it's still in the garden. So it is very important to know the signs, because if a farmer asks you, now for the case of my cabbages, how do I know that it's now time? Number one, you have to keep records. If cabbage takes 3 months, by the third month, you should be able to check how. You get the weight, you carry it on your hand, on the palm of your hand, and then you try to weigh it. And you hit it, you slap it. By the time you slap it, it shows that it has died properly. It has bundled properly the leaves. That is the best cabbage for consumption. So let's continue and see. We said that fresh vegetables are perishable and have relatively short shelf life. They easily get spoiled. They are living respiratory or respiring tissues that start changing immediately at harvest. Freshly harvested vegetables are mostly comprised of water with almost 90% to 95% moisture content. That is the amount of water which is present in this vegetable. That's why it is always important when you get your spinach, put it in water. When you put it in water, it can survive for a good period of time. That is the only way to maintain it. Apart from other vegetables like tomatoes, oranges, green pepper, those ones can survive for some little time, but cannot take long. So water loss after harvest is one of the most serious post-harvest conditions. Post-harvest simply means after you harvesting from the garden, what next? The steps you take. What happens to the crop? So consequently, special effort is required to reduce the effects of these naturally occurring processes. If quality harvested in the field will be the same at the consumer level, pre-harvest preparations should include lining up efficient labor, okay? Supplies like containers for packaging items, cleaning, grading. You have to clean, okay? You clean it with water. After cleaning, what next? Grading. You get the big ones alone. The rotten ones aside. The ones which are very ready one side. That's what we call grading. You sort them. And then after you could package them, you could pack them into boxes. Why do you pack them into boxes? For easy carrying, for easy storage, okay? Even to prevent pests from destroying them. And then as we continue, we are seeing that determining if all the equipment is operable, to make sure that everything that you have taken in the field can be used. It could be that taking a box which is already torn. At the end of the day, you get frustrated while in the field. Once the produce reaches harvest maturity, the produce is now the crop, the harvest now itself. Delays for any reason can result into major quality and crop loss. The moment you delay, when you are harvesting, let's say tomatoes will start rotting while in the garden if you delay. So it is very important that you increase the number of labor, such that you take a little period of time when you are doing the harvesting. In addition, the nutritive content of produce is not static. Either techniques to extend post-harvest shelf life. There's no way you can maintain the nutritive value of a crop if you don't create the favorable conditions to do the maintenance. Because when you are there, you could cause injuries to this crops. You break them off in a way that is not pleasant. So with all that, you'll be able to see that there is nothing which is available for you to sell. So how do you increase the shelf life? How do you make sure that the crop can live for a long period of time? For example, cassava or maize. You get maize from the garden, take it to the milling machine, they grind it into cassava flour or maize flour, and that one can live for a long period of time. Even here, into these vegetables, we could also increase their shelf life. We could increase their life cycle, reducing respiration by lowering the amount of temperature. You reduce the temperature. How? By putting in a freezer or in water. Respiration reduces. Respiration simply means the loss of water from our crops. So the other, we could slow down the rate of respiration by maintaining optimum gas environment. You create environment which does not cause heating up and exchange of gases in normal. The last part of it says we can also slow loss by maintaining optimum relative humidity, which is also of great value. So that's what we have on this page. If there is any question, maybe any member could ask. Otherwise, if there isn't, we could go to the next page and see what we have. So after harvesting, you will not harvest everything and put it in your house and you jubilate that you are going to eat. No. If you have only beans, you could be wanting posho. So that simply means you have to take the beans you have to the market, you sell. When you sell, you get money to buy posho. Okay, fine. You could be having your maize and beans, but where will you get the cooking oil from? Nowadays, there's no barter trade. You just go and sell off part of what you have harvested to get money to get cooking oil. So delivering vegetables to the market. Once the right decisions are made, the farmer will proceed to deliver vegetables to the consumers. There are 9-step process to properly prepare for receive, handle, and incoming vegetable delivery. What is the first step? You don't just go and you stand in the market. Maybe you go to Nakawa or you go to the any market which is nearby your location. Prepare the back room. Get rid of trash, stack empty boxes, and condense merchandise to make room for the load. Make sure that you create room inside where you're going to put your produce. There are some things which are not important in your room. So I want you members to observe this picture properly because it's next what is next that we are going to look into properly. Could you be able to ascertain whatever is happening in this picture? You look at the different types of vegetables that those women are having. Then you could even look at how they have put their things, displayed their things.
Hello?
Yes, please. Are you able to watch the to see the picture properly?
Yes.
Okay. So let's go to the next page where we shall have questions to answer. So place for everything and everything in its place. Okay, when you carry your produce, make sure you put everything in the right place. You can create maps of your space to find out where the coolest and warmest spots are located to help you store your produce at the right temperature for the best flavor and the least spoilage. Keep them in the same place each day so you can quickly find needed products. When unloading, okay, or when offloading the truck, try to pack items in the set areas to minimize handling them multiple times. Make sure that when you're offloading, you put them at the area, this place is warm, this place is not warm, this place, such that this produce does not go bad. It could easily go bad if you don't follow that. So after looking at the other picture of ours, here we have a question which says, study the picture and identify the different vegetables that are being sold. So members, you could tell us which vegetables have you seen? Isaac, tell us which vegetables have you seen?
I saw there cabbage.
Yeah, you have seen only one.
No, I've seen cabbage, maize. I've seen there is also maybe there are beans over peas over beans. I'm not sure of what they are. There are also I'm not sure what the woman is holding, but I think it's garlic. Maybe.
Okay.
Garlic. There's also, I think those are the ones that people are selling at the front.
Okay, maybe Lahura could also tell us, what are you seeing?
I see cabbage. I think those are peas, beans, and some stuff in the sacks. I don't know what they are.
Okay. That is cabbage in a sack. So next, Roman 2, suggest materials where vegetables are kept before sale. Where can we keep our vegetables before we take to the market? Hello. If you look at this picture properly, what are some of the materials that have been used to store the produce? Isaac, what are you seeing? Where do you always keep your crops after harvesting before you take into the market?
For us, we don't sell, we are not serious in that area of selling. We just plant for home use.
Where do you keep?
We have like a small store. Yes, we have a small store where we keep them. The maize
So you just pour there, or you put into sacks?
We put into sacks.
Okay, so that is the material. A sack is a material. What other materials can we put vegetables?
Basins. Some people put them in basins.
Okay, basins, baskets, and the rest of the things. Some could hang them in the house. So the last part of it says, in case you are among the vendors, how different could you increase the life of the vegetables? How would you increase? Okay, if you're the one in the market here, and you have brought your cabbages from the village, you have brought your cabbages from a village, maybe Kapelepiongo village, and you want to sell, how would you make sure that you keep and maintain the nature of the vegetables in good position until when they are sold off? without any deviation. Hello. Yes, Laura, could you tell us? How would you be? Yes.
I could maybe like put them in shade so that they don't wilt in the sun.
Very
And
good.
like tying them in cavera so that they don't get contaminated by dirt.
Okay.
Or like maybe these vegetables, which like maybe say like tomatoes, I would like buy these small bag fridges, then I'll put the tomatoes inside.
Okay, that's great. That is a very brilliant of you. So that is basically what we can do to make sure that we increase the shelf life of the vegetables. So today we are stopping there. We shall start from here next time when we meet. Have a blessed evening, members. And,
Thank you, teacher.
And Isaac and Laura, I've not seen your assignments. I don't know what is happening. So far, you have 2 assignments you have not attempted. I've only received from Kai. Isaac, I hope you are promising to forward the assignment. Hello?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. Have a blessed evening.
Thank you, teacher.